Report 6 and our report is all about grading system. So first, we define grading system. Grading system is a system of classifying or ranking of something on a particular scale. Then, assessment of student performance is essentially knowing how the student is progressing in a course and incidentally how a teacher is also performing with respect to the teaching process. So the first step in assessment is of course testing. It is either by some pencil paper objective test or by some performance-based sketching procedure. Next is grading. The next of testing. So, over the course of several years, grading system has been involved in different school systems all over the world. So in American system, for instance, grades are expressed in terms of letters like A, B, B plus, B minus, C, C minus, or D, or what we call the 7-point system. Then, in the Philippine colleges or universities, the letters are placed with numerical values like 1, 1.25, 1.50, 1.75, 2.0, 2.5, and 3.0, and 4.0, or what we call the 8-point system. Then, in basic education, grades are expressed in percentages of accomplishment such as 80% or 75%. So, whatever be the system of grading adopted, it is clear to us that there appears to be a need to convert raw score values into its corresponding standard grading system. So, this chapter is concerned with the underlying philosophy and mechanics of converting raw score values into its standard grading formats. So, first is norm reference grading.
Okay, good morning once again everyone. By the way, I am Angelica Caraig Emilio and I'm going to report about the norm reference grading. So, what is norm reference grading? So, norm reference grading refers to a grading system wherein a student's grade is placed in relation to the performance of a group. So, it means the performance of the students is evaluated depends on the performance of the other students in the class. So, thus in this system, a grade of 80 means that the students perform better than or the same as the 80% of the group. So the following, so at first glance, there appears to be no problem with this type of grading system as it simply describes its performance of a student with reference to a particular group of learners. So, I have here an example. So the following example shows some of the difficulties associated with norm reference grading. So here, consider that the following two sets of scores in an English 1 class for two sections of 10 students each. Once again everyone, by the way, I am Angelica Caraig Emilio and I'm going to report about the norm reference grading. So what is norm reference grading? Norm reference grading refers to a grading system wherein a student's grade is placed in relation to the performance of a group. So means the performance of the student is evaluated depends on the performance of the other students in the class. So thus in this system, a grade of 80 means that the student performed better than or the same as 80% of the class. So in the first glance, there is appear to be no problem with this type of grading system. So I have here an example. So consider the following two sets of scores in an English 1 for two sections of 10 students each. In here. So in class A, the students having a row score of 30, 40, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, and 85. In class B, the students are having a roll score of 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 90, 95, and 100. So, in in the first class, the students who got a roll score of 75 would get a grade of 80%. The same as in class B, the student who got a roll score of 90 would get also a grade of 80%. So instead, if the test here in the two class of English 1 use so instead if the test used in the two class are the same, so it would be rather unfair of grading system, di ba? So a wise student would opt to enroll in class A since it is easier to get a higher grades than in class B. So makita naman nato nga dili sa class A 80% would correspond to a roll score of 75. Unlike diri sa class B, kay dako ang roll score nga kuhaon sa estudyante to achieve the grade of 80%. Diri siya. So, in the first class, the student got a roll score of 75. Muna to siya. So, the previous example illustrates one difficulty with using a norm reference grading system. So, this problem is called the problem of equivalency. Kani siya ang gipasabot. So, problem of equivalency, this problem is similar to the problem of trying to compare a valedictorian from some remote rural high school with a valedictorian from some very popular university in the urban area. So, thus one expects the same level of competence for the two valedictorians. Yes, because they are both valedictorians. The only difference is the other valedictorian came from some remote rural high school, and the other valedictorian came from a very popular university in urban area. But they are both valedictorians, so should expect the same level of competence between the two valedictorians. So, in norm reference grading, the students, while they may work individually, are actually in competition to achieve a standard of performance that will classify them into the desired grade range. So, it essentially promotes competition among the students or pupils in the class. So, this is also one of the disadvantages of using this type of grading system, because the students are in competition rather than in collaboration in order to achieve the grade range. So, a student or pupil who happens to enroll in a class of gifted students in mathematics will find that the norm reference grading system is rather worrisome. So, for example, a teacher may establish a grading policy whereby the top 15% of students will receive a mark of excellent or outstanding, which in a class of 100 enrolled students will be 15 persons. Such a grading policy illustrated here. So, the top 15% of the class would receive a mark of excellent. The next 15% of the class would get a mark of good, and so on and so forth. So the underlying assumption in norm reference grading is that the students have abilities as reflected in their roll scores that obey the normal distribution of grades. So, a norm reference system are most often used for screening selected students, populations, in conditions where it is known that not all students can advance due to limitations such as available places, jobs, or other controlling factors. For example, in the Philippines city, since not all high school students can actually advance to college or university level because of financial constraints, the norm reference grading system can be applied. Parang itong mga estudyante mga di sila maka-advance to college, applicable na siya nga type of grading system. So, example, in a class of 100 students, the mean score in a test is the mean score in a test is 70 with a standard deviation of 5. Construct a norm reference grading table that would have 7 grade scales and such that students scoring between plus or minus 1 standard deviation from the mean receives an average grade. So here. Okay, here is the solution. The following intervals of row scores to grade equivalents are computed. So row score, grade equivalent, and the percentage. So below 55 would get a grade equivalent of fail with a percentage of 1. And 55 to 60 would get a grade equivalent of marginal pass and a percentage of 4%, and so on and so forth. So, the serious problem of this kind of grading, which is the norm reference grading, is that no matter what the class level of knowledge and ability, and no matter how much they learn, a predictable proportion of students will receive each grade. So since its essential purpose is to sort and categorize any type of grading system based on relative performance. So norm reference grading and evaluation is often used to eliminate students for limited places in selective educational programs. So the specific learning objectives of norm reference classes are often kept hidden, in part out of concern that instruction not give away the test or the teacher's priorities, since this might tend to skew the curve. Itong curve gani sa grading system, ma-change ang iya nga direction pagkuan. Okay. And that could be all. Thank you.
Good morning, classmates. My name is Giselle Magaran, and I am going to tackle about the second type of grading system, which is the criterion reference grading system. When we say criterion, it is a standard or a judgment or decision that is made that may be based. So criterion reference grading system is based on a fixed criterion. There is a fixed target, and the students must achieve the target in order to obtain a passing grade in a course, regardless of how the other students in the class perform. Criterion reference grading system is different from the norm reference grading system, because norm reference grading system is you are graded by group, but this one you are graded individually according to what you can do. So example of this is, in a class of 100 students, no one might get a grade of excellence if no one scores 98 above or 85 above, depending on the criterion. So using the table below is the basis or the standard grades that you get. So example, if you cannot get an excellent grade if your grade is below 98 above or 85. So if your grade is 98 to 100 or 85 to 100, your grade is excellent. The interpretation of your grade is excellent. If your grade is 88 to 97 or 80 to 84, your grade is 2 and interpreted as fair. So if your grade is 75 to 87 or 70 to 79, the interpretation of your grade is 4. So, sakot ba 3? And if your grade is below 65 or 60, the interpretation of your grade is a failure. The advantages of So there are advantages and disadvantages of the criterion reference grading system. First, the advantage, the students can help fellow students in group work without worrying about lowering his or her own grade. Because the criterion reference grading system is graded individually, not by group. So second, students are not competing with each other, and students' grade is not affected by the performance of the whole class because, again, it is graded individually. So students can also help fellow students without worrying about lowering his or her grade. Then the disadvantages of the criterion reference grading system. It is difficult to set a reasonable standard if it is not stated in the grading policies of the institution. So as a teacher, individually, you cannot grade your students by kanang imuha ra ba or kuan ba ni kanang sa imong feeling or kuan nga muni ang grade kay ang grading system here is giset man siya sa institution. The second disadvantage is students may not pass the subject when they do not meet the standards set by the teacher or the institution. Because ang institution, they will set a standard grade for grading the student as an individual. Since criterion measure used in reference grading system is untimely rest, the teacher would ask, what prevents the teacher who used criterion reference grading system from performance criteria so slow that everyone can pass with ease? The variety of measures used to prevent from happening in the grading system. So the teacher should, it should not be based only on teacher's opinion or standards. It should be collaboratively arrived at, or a group of teachers teaching the same subject must agree the standard or the standard of grading. They will collaborate to come up with the standard grade. The second is, once the criterion is published, it must be public. Kita before nag-start ang class, diba, our teacher before siya ni-discuss atong topic, ni kwanta siya o unsay iyang grading system, unsay iyang pamaagi on how we are being graded. So, in my case, I am a parent, katawag ni sa school para ipabalo sa mga parents at the way the students are graded. Any question? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My report is about the 4 questions in grading. So, Marinelia Vinitsky, 2007, of the Center for Teaching Effectiveness of the University of Texas at Austin possessed 4 intriguing questions relative to grading. So, the first question is, should grades reflect absolute achievements or absolute achievements level or achievements relative to others in the same class? So in grading, we have the 2 different grading systems: the norm reference grading and the criterion reference grading. Norm reference grading, the letter grade received by the student is based on her standing in class. So in this grading, the grade of the student is taken from if he is from his standing in the class. So if he's in the first place in the standing of his class, so he has the highest score. Some also view this grading as a biased grading because the grading of the student is not based on the intelligence or the knowledge that the students attain in the class. Because if student A is in the section A and student B is in the section B, so they are the same. The two students are in the average are average students. So in student A is in section A, so their section has his classmates are more knowledgeable. So the teacher in that class will set a high standard for the grades of the student. So even if he has he attained more knowledge, he would still have a lower grade because his standing in the class is in the lower place because his classmates are almost genius because they're in the section A. While student B, even if he is in an average student, because the standard of the teacher in the section B is lower, so he would achieve a higher place in the class because his or her classmates are considered to be a slow learner or they are poor in learning. Additional information about what the students really knows. So in this grading, if the evaluators will have less information if that particular student is more knowledgeable or he has attained a higher knowledge in that class because their grade is based on, it's not based on what they have learned or what they have learned in the class. It is based on their position, their standing in the class. The next, it is important to the second question is, should grade reflect achievement only or non-academic components such as attitude, speed, and diligence? So attitude should be included in grading the students because it is important the students have good attitude so that they will achieve their goals and they could interact with other citizens in the country. Should grade reflect achievement only or non-academic components such as attitude, speed, and diligence? So it is hard for the teacher to incorporate value judgment in grading the students because emotions can greatly affect the decision making of a person. What if the students in his class is one of his nephew? So but the student has a poor attitude in the class, he has a poor attitude. So the teacher can properly assess the grade of the student because he would be affected by his feelings for that student because it is his nephew. So to properly incorporate value judgment, and if you're going to include in your grading the attitude of your students, their diligence, their speed, so you should first inform them on what will go to their grade. So if you're going to include attitude, so you should inform them that if you will have a poor attitude in my class, so you will have a lower grade. If you pass your assignment late and not in time, so you will have a lower grade.
As usual.
So that's all my report, and the two remaining questions will be reported by
Hey guys, good morning. I am the one who continue reporting about the 4 questions in grading system. So number 3. By the way guys, I am Flormy Wanello. So number 3, should grades report status achieved or amount of growth? These are particularly difficult questions to answer guys because in many beginning classes, the background of the students is so varied that some students can achieve the end objectives with little or no trouble, or while others with big background will work twice as hard and still achieve only half as much.
So in this question, guys, now there's a student who is a fast learner and a low learner. So among the students' performance, there is a different learning between them, and the teacher give the justifies for those students is for those
Ang yan mga
students
sapatos,
na
apil
deserve
mo
sa grades nga ihatag. So when it focus on, guys, kung focus lang ka sa questions nga, should grades report status, achieve, or amount of growth, it should be probably report to the students of their outstanding in school because the student must know their outstanding in school of their performance and their grades and their progress in the school toward their grades they wanted to achieve. So it is also important to tell who is the best student. Bisag ko ana, mubo man lang grades or taas. Or they will give them a positive or a negative. It will depend on the individual philosophy of each student. So, then in talking about the growth, guys, there have many problems of growth. Growth is not a snapshot student performance or a single test. Growth is not a status, but growth is academic performance of an individual or each group over a time or each student. So in growth, ang teacher gikuan nila na gi-measure if the students can learn from their unsa lahang gitudlo. Gi-measure nila if excellence ba ang students, nakakuan ba sila, good ba sila, very good. Muna lahang gi-measure sa students. Then number 4, how can several grades or diverse skills combine to give a single mark? So di anta mang basic pero ako lang ihatag ang akong nasabtan ani guys na how can several grades and diverse skills combine to give a single mark. So in these questions, guys, there have a different multiple intelligence of an students. So an example ani guys, in a MAPI subject, di ba in a MAPI subject you have a different subject. MAPI, music, art, physical education, and health. So in every subject, they have a different grades. So to get a single mark, ikuha na nila, itotal sa teacher ang iyahang grades to get an average. So muna sila ang single mark. That's all.
Okay, next is, hi, good morning everyone. My name is Liza Tirindon, and my report is all about alternative grading system and standardized test scoring. In alternative grading system, is composed of 2 pass-fail system, then non-graded evaluation. So in pass-fail system, other colleges and universities, faculties, schools, and institutions use pass-fail grading system in the Philippines, especially when the students' work to be evaluated is highly subjective, as in the fine arts and music. There are no generally accepted standard gradations as with independent studies, or the critical requirement is meeting a single satisfactory standard as in some professional examinations and practicum. So, in pass-fail grading system, students receive either a passing grade or a failing grade rather than a more accurate ranking of success. So, pass-fail grading system. So in pass-fail grading system, the teacher would only put a check whether the student passed or the student failed. Pass fail na siya. Next is standard. Next, so wala man din wala na akong lang i-discuss. So, non-graded evaluation, this is well not practiced in the Philippine schools and institutions. Non-graded evaluations do not assign numeric or letter grades as a matter of policy. So, in non-graded evaluations, from the word non-graded, so the teacher, at the end of the school year, the teacher don't have grades to be presented. The students don't have grades. The teacher would only discuss, then give an assessment, then at the end of the grading, the students don't have received grades. Non-graded evaluations. Because it states here that in non-graded evaluations, grades is only a distracting element of communication into the learning process. Next is standardized test scoring. Standardization is a process by which teacher or researcher-made tests are validated and item analyzed. So in standardized test scoring, this is like what our teacher used when we are when grading. The tests are validated and also reliable. Then at the end of the school year, the teachers have grades to be presented, or the teachers or the students have grades at the end of the school year. That's all.
Action.
Okay, good morning, classmates. Now let's tackle about the last topic is all about the cumulative and averaging grading system. In the Philippines, there are two types of grading system. The averaging grading system and the cumulative. First is the averaging grading system. The grade of the students in a particular grading period equals the average of the grade obtained in the prior grading periods and the current grading period. So, we have an example. A student took 3 classes and earned the following grades A, B, and D. Those grades correspond to 4, 4, and 3 on the numeric scale. So, add all numeric grades in this example. The sum is 4 plus 4 plus 3 is equals to 12. 11 and sorry. Divide the sum by the number of classes taken to calculate the cumulative numerical average. So, muna siyang i-divide ang iyahang numeric grades of the number of classes taken. So 11 divided 3 is equals to 3.6667. Gets na mo? Gets na? Okay, last is the cumulative grading system. The grade of a student in a grading period equals his current grading period grade, which is assumed to have the cumulative effects of the previous grading period. Or kanang mo calculate ganit tag GPA, muna siya ang kuan grade average. Example, a student took 3 classes with 3, 1, and 3 credit hours respectively and earned the following